I was just so sick.
Veterans struggling to get organ transplants to keep them alive.
It's awful. Can't describe it.
A VA whistleblower breaks his silence about a broken system.
The problem has not been solved, period.
Distance, delays, and denial. Tonight, we uncover a national problem impacting veterans across the country and putting their lives in danger. 11 Alive investigator Andy Parati joins us with what he has uncovered.
Jeff, sick veterans tell us the VA often requires them to travel hundreds of miles for care. Some deny transplants altogether, even though other hospitals would do it.
That was probably after the transplant, wasn't it?
Tommy Baggett and his daughter, Tammy,
You know, I was just so sick.
remember a time when they almost lost hope.
It just brings back bad memories.
It started with a visit to the Atlanta VA hospital after falling ill in 2014. Baggett is a 6-year Navy veteran and worked as an air traffic controller. Several days and tests later, doctors finally had a diagnosis: leukemia.
So sometime during that period, they came back and said, your only chance at survival would be with a bone marrow transplant.
A life-saving transplant Baggett would later learn the VA would never provide. The VA told her it would only do the procedure if chemotherapy put her leukemia into total remission for safety reasons. That never happened, and the VA denied the transplant. So she got another opinion from here at Emory University Hospital, about 2 miles away. While the VA said it wasn't possible, Emory surgeons agreed to do the transplant. If you would have stayed with the VA to get your transplant, what do you think would have happened?
I don't think I would have had a transplant.
You'd be dead.
I think I would be dead.
The 11 Alive investigators uncovered Baggett isn't the only veteran denied by the VA. According to this 2012 Inspector General's report, 3 different VA transplant centers denied a Minnesota veteran a liver transplant for 3 different reasons. Difficult to believe when another hospital determined the veteran was a good candidate from a surgical point of view.
I know that deep down we can change this.
Jamie McBride is a program manager for the VA transplant system in San Antonio, Texas. After 5 years working at the VA, he's putting his job on the line to speak up about the problem. In June, he submitted this complaint to the VA Inspector General, outlining other transplant denials. Nothing happened. We spoke to him remotely from Atlanta.
I've gone through every channel that we can, and the reason I'm here speaking about it is because the problem has not been solved, period.
How many patients do you think unnecessarily died because of this system?
Thousands.
These are pictures of my husband in the Army.
Pam Moore believes her husband, John, is one of those veterans.
And he was just so loving.
The VA put the Minnesota Army veteran on a liver transplant waiting list in 2012. While a nearby medical center performs liver transplants, the VA wouldn't pay for it. Instead, it required the 60-year-old to travel hundreds of miles away to Houston's VA transplant center to wait for a liver. After 4 years on the waiting list, Moore died in February 2015.
If it would have been done here, I think he would have had it. I think he died unnecessarily. That's truly what I believe.
In most cases, the VA will only pay for a veteran's transplant if they use one of its 13 transplant centers. So if they live in another state, they're still required to travel, no matter how sick they are. The 11 Alive investigators also uncovered this. According to a 2014 University of Pennsylvania study, it found veterans waiting for liver transplants who traveled 100 miles or more for treatment had a lower likelihood of receiving a transplant and increased mortality. Dr. David Goberg is the lead author of this study.
They have less access to a life-saving transplant, which directly then correlates to a higher chance of dying from liver disease.
We're basically trying to sell them on something that we don't necessarily believe in ourselves.
The VA administrator in charge of the transplant system is Dr. William Gunner, National Director of surgery.
There is a culture of safety that's developed in the VA.
For nearly a month, we requested an interview with him about the problems we uncovered. The VA said he was on leave and unavailable. In an email, the VA wrote, "The VA's transplant program outcomes compare favorably to all United States transplant centers." It goes on to say the VA has the authority to refer a veteran for transplant in the community in the case the VA transplant program is not feasibly accessible.
The veterans deserve better.
Not so, says this whistleblower and many veterans
The second I got to Emory, I had a fever.
who believe the VA's transplant system contributes to distance, delays, and denial,
It's just heart-wrenching.
risking veterans' lives.
The VA, the Veterans Administration, would seem to be this black hole of chaos and bureaucracy that's like a giant puzzle that just seems vexing to anyone who dares to enter.
It certainly seems that way over the past 2 years.
And to give me a sense of reaction of lawmakers.
You know, lawmakers we spoke with are furious. That includes the chairman of the House Committee on Veteran Affairs. Hear from him tomorrow night. We'll also introduce you to an Army veteran who needed a kidney. His son was a perfect match, but the VA still denied the transplant.
That's just idiotic because transplant is hard enough. I mean, people die from not getting transplants, and now you're making it harder on me.
What's being done to address the problem? Distance, delays, and denial continues tomorrow after the Olympics.
The key word is problem. It goes on and on and on. Andy, thank you.